What would be your advice to managers? And let's take it first from managing themselves. What would be like your advice in improving their emotional intelligence?
We teach a technique in what we call reframing your stinking thinking. Uh,
Yes.
and helping people understand that we experience a situation in life, which then creates a thought, which then creates a feeling, and then your behavior. For
Hmm.
example, I tell you a joke, that's a situation. You think the joke is funny, you feel happy, you begin to laugh, right?
Hmm.
But you want to change the behavior or you want to change the feeling because right now you're stressed out, you're angry, frustrated day in and day out because of work. What creates that? It's the way you think. And so if you can change the way you think, we call it reframing your thinking, your feelings and behavior will change. So it's teaching them the reframing technique to manage their emotional state. Powerful technique. Of all my years as a clinician
Yeah.
and help people, and the research is off there,
Oh,
to
for
that.
sure. I mean, like you really do have to, it is a skill. I call it mental management.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it is, these are skills that you really do have to practice maybe initially, but once you do them enough, it pretty much starts to come automatically. Like I'll still recognize when I'm doing it, but it's very fast in the situation. Like I'll have the negative thought or just an unhelpful framing, and then I'll very quickly spin it in a different direction to try to see it in a different way.
You
Like
bet.
COVID, it wasn't that I spun it as a positive, it's that I looked at it and I said, when everybody was saying it was only a month to close down, I looked at the reality and said, there is no way. This is only a month. And if I'm living with this, how do I live with it?
That's right. But that's self-reflection and all the things you do that you have. These are tools and skills that help you become resilient to deal with these things. But when you talk about reframing, this goes back to the works of one of my favorite books, Man's Search for Meaning,
Mm.
Viktor Frankl. And for all you who have not read any of Frankel's work, it's when he was in the concentration camps during World War II as a prisoner, and he's a psychiatrist. And what he realized is that if you ever spoke to a survivor of the Holocaust, they pretty much have the same reframe.
Mm.
Because I mean, think about it. I mean, to be a prisoner, be it if you were Dutch, Polish, Jewish, it doesn't matter. In the concentration camps of World War II, and they tortured you. Many people just gave up their lives, the will
Yeah.
to live. They just died.
Yeah.
The ones who survived pretty much all had the same refrain, which was, I have to survive in order to tell the story so this would never happen again.
Mm.
That kept them alive, as well as their willingness or the ability. And we talked about this, I think, off line at one time, the importance of purpose and meaning in life.
Hmm.
And this is where Viktor Frankl talked about the it's having purpose is essential for the human being and meaning. And let's expand that to the workplace. Because see, to me, a worker who has found a purpose and meaning of their work are healthier, happier,
More
etc.,
motivated.
more motivated. And so living this authentic, purposeful, meaningful life, as Viktor Frankl talked about, is critical for our existence, our life satisfaction, our overall well-being. He talked about back then in the 50s that we Americans are living in an existential vacuum, always chasing the dream, more money, the bigger car, the bigger truck, as
Mm.
opposed to, you
Realizing
know,
the value that is already there.
you're right. And now we just circled back to what we talked about COVID and being home, and the great resignation. I think that all started to reshape itself for many people, their meaning and purpose. And living a more authentic life. Now, hitting the other side, staying in your model, okay, is now the social awareness.
Right.
And what we're talking about now is really being aware of other people. And to me, what we focus on, the skill set here, is really better understanding body language and nonverbal communication. You know, this is critical. Now, when body language became hot back in the 70s, everybody had, if you did this, that means that. If you did that, no. There's you
I
never
always
make
think about that with the people who talk about the lying. Like if you look up and are looking in a certain direction, you're thinking about your response and therefore you're lying.
no,
It's
it's
like
just,
maybe you're just thinking about your response.
well, to your very point, we show a video clip on it's a body language test, okay, that we purchased years ago, and it's really interesting how people misunderstand the different things. Like to your point, when you look up and to the left, if you're right-handed, you look at that. This is just a neurological issue. You're recalling past information. If I asked you what did you do last Christmas vacation, you probably go, you look up to the left, recalling information. If I go, what are you going to do for spring break? You're going to look up to the right. When we are lying, typically, we look down, okay, in shame. But again, never make a interpretation with one piece of information. It's a cluster of information.
Right. It's a
about it.
pattern.
And it's only a correlation. It doesn't mean it is, but it's looking at different pieces. So in terms of enhancing one's social intelligence, is being aware not only of your own body language, but other people and the tone of voice. I'm not angry. Really? Your voice is one thing, your body language says another. So it's understanding body language and enhancing your social intelligence. And then the last piece of the model, managing others, as you call it, would be, strengthening your empathy skills, via taking other people's perspective taking. And there's so many others.
So let's just
empathy and compassion is so critical today.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because
Sure.
we have a number. There's a type of person who makes it to management, again, always technically proficient, who wants to draw that line where they just want the people to do the work and they don't want to have to attend to any of like their emotions.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that the reason they do this is because they actually have poor skills in being able to have empathy while also managing their emotions. And it's a defensive move that they're making. If they don't get close, then they won't succumb to feeling bad and then being suckered. I really think that many times they feel like they're going to get suckered.
Yeah, it is a defense mechanism for sure. Oftentimes, we call it in our book our blind spots. We all have blind spots.
Yeah.
To your point, look, understand the way we human beings are born to be empathic. We all have the propensity to demonstrate empathy. Doesn't mean we all do. And very much probably is how you're raised. If you're raised in a home where a lot of empathy is demonstrated, yes, there's a higher likelihood you'll be more empathic. On the other hand, if you're in a very cold transactional environment, maybe the less empathy. But we all have the propensity, and so we can strengthen one's empathy and their skill. But if there's a blind spot, or they're conditioned not to be empathic, then you got leaders out there who, just get it done. And it's amazing. That comes out so loud in our book as one of the top issues. My boss is a cold-hearted jerk, blah, blah, blah. And the stories that we have heard, the stories I'm sure you've heard from leaders who are you kidding? This person is sick and this and that. And oh well, you got to be on time. It's like the lack of empathy is just amazing. Strengthen your social and emotional intelligence. Understand, pick up some, there's many books. There's so many books. Read
Mm.
Daniel Goleman's book on social emotional intelligence. Begin to read. Pick up my book, to read these things and understand. You can strengthen your empathy skills, your understanding in your self-awareness skills and your social awareness skills, etc. That we know, as you said earlier, the research is up to rafters on the importance of it.
It
So
is.
that would be without doubt, because in that you're talking about building trust and building rapport, understanding individuals, your own self well-being, and all the elements that come with the person with a strong social emotional intelligence, which makes a insightful leader.